You're someone to look up to, honestly.
I think that's the most important thing somebody can do, and it's that it's checking yourself.
Go out and see how it feels to do something good for someone else.
This is Storytime Conyuyo. Today we have a very special guest to us. Her name is Diane. And also, this is our first episode that's in English. So, congrats, Diane. You have that honor.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And also, today we have Freddie and Lalo. Welcome
Hello.
back, guys.
Hi.
Hello, Lalo here.
From my perspective, I think I have a longer relationship with Diana. Diana is a huge part of the community of Belmont and Cragin in Chicago. She has done a lot for the community, especially for women, if I'm not mistaken, Diana.
Yeah,
you can correct me.
No, women and children, literacy and women empowerment. And we love our businesses, We always fight real hard to keep our money right here in the community.
Yep. And the group that she's, are you a founder of the group?
I am. I'm the founder of Las Damas de Belmont.
Beautiful.
Cragin.
Yep. So, Las Damas de Belmont and Cragin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's Diana.
Yeah. And we had the opportunity also to, on our other side of the business, we've had the opportunity to work with you
Yes.
and help the local community. And we've always been grateful for you giving us that opportunity because remember when we were like reaching out to certain people, like we did reach out and not all of them, wanted to reach out to us back. So, but again, we're the new kids on the block. So it's going to take a little bit for people to get to know us and that's the whole thing about this, and that's the reason of the podcast too, is to help the community voice out what they need to voice out, and to work together more than anything. Because we have the family business going on for us, but we're also grateful for the opportunity that we've been given. So we always take that into consideration, and if we can help in any way, we're there, and if we can't, we just say it, and that's just how we've come about. I don't know if you want to add something to that, Freddie.
Yeah, for my own thing, I think it's the most important thing, and we like to mention in every podcast too. Is like this podcast really is to talk about people who are close to us, or anybody who is willing to talk about their life and their experiences in Chicago. And if you're from Belmont and Cragin, even better. But it's for anybody who wants to talk about their lives or just in general their experiences.
Yeah, because we all matter.
Yeah,
I think we all matter.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
So, I'm sorry. So, what's you want to tell the community what the program do you do? How do you help women and children?
Well, first I want to make sure that I thank both of you guys. I got in touch with Freddie. I guess when you were just kicking off this new business, taking over the store and whatnot.
Okay.
And at that time I was with Black Hawk Park's advisory council, right? And I reached out and made an introduction. And as time went by, always checked back. Like we came back in 2020. Remember, Freddie,
Yep.
when we were doing the census?
Yep.
And why? Why am I talking about the census, right? Because I remember the slogan that we had on the T-shirt, Belmont Cragin counts, right?
I do
And you
remember.
know what? Belmont Cragin, when you look at all, the neighborhoods in the city, I used to get really pretty adamant about when I was in meetings with other nonprofits and with the nonprofit that I sit on the board at, I would say, Belmont Cragin, whenever we have these meetings or whenever they're handing stuff out, Belmont Cragin is always in the back of the room, And I can tell you now that we're not. Our community is voicing their needs and making their wants known. So back in 2020, I had heard that the census mattered because it helped us get representation, right, in government.
Okay.
And representation is really important, right? So I thought, well, then, let's go ahead and try to get our community registered for the census. I know how people feel about it, but honestly, like if you think that you keep your information private because you don't you don't participate in the census. Well, if you got Facebook, you already lost, because if you're on social media, your information's
They have
already out
everything.
there, right?
They have everything.
Yeah. So you might as well, count in the census, because that gets you representation to be heard.
Well,
right? So
let's give a little more info on what a census is, because there will be some here and there that don't know what it is, and maybe that's why they're not doing it. So
okay.
I don't know if you want to give them a little more information on that, Diane.
Sure.
So what is the purpose of the census for Belmont Cragin?
Well, when the census gets done, it gets done all over the state, all over the country, right? Every 10 years, the government takes a head count of how many people live in the country, right? And based on that, they distribute money to the states. They fund things to the states. They decide how many elected officials you'll have in the Senate, in the Congress, in state, Senate and Congress as well, because there's federal and state.
Okay.
And so, if you want to get heard, if you want to have your voice count, then you definitely have to have a representative up there, right?
Right.
And so we knew at the time in 2020, we had Duckworth and Dick Durbin, right?
Okay.
So we had them, and neither of those are Latino, right?
Right.
So we had the opportunity to get someone else,
Okay.
And so that was the reason. I mean, and every 10 years, everything that you basically need in your city or your town you will get allotted funds based on the head count that you have, right?
Right.
So
Now the head count counts as like the household, or how do they?
Yeah. How do
Oh
they-
yeah, it's the whole household. It's the parents. You count
What about
all your
children?
children. You count all
Okay.
your children. If you have relatives living with you, you want to count them too, right?
think
Because they
that's,
live in your community.
I think that's a fear I think that's why people don't really like to do it, because it's like a fear. Well, especially immigrants. I think I've heard it, and I've heard it many times from my own parents back in the day. We're like, no, they want to see who's here so they can come and get us and take us out. I think that's a real true fear. I mean, as much as it is a little bit of a joke, but I think it's more than anything, the census is about educating people on what it is, because if we don't, then those numbers are going to start, decreasing instead of increasing, which is what we want, is an increase in
Right.
this census, especially the people that live here locally.
Absolutely, and it's a fear. Yeah, I recognize that, and I know that, and it's not a silly fear. It really is valid. People, coming from where whatever country they came from, they have their own experience with that government, and then they come here, and in some areas, like this city of Chicago is a sanctuary city. But it's not without its issues, right?
Right.
And so people are wary. I can only try to let people. I give people information. Like if I decide we're gonna do something, right, that will benefit our community. All I can do is go out, speak my piece, try to educate as best I can, and those who are willing to follow will follow, or
Right.
they'll step forward and they'll take part, right? And I have to be grateful for them. And for those who cannot find it in their heart, and they don't have the confidence to step forward, I always say they can't step forward yet, right? And I have to respect their decisions, because I don't know the lives they lived. I don't know their experiences, right? So I have to respect that.
Also, a lot of people, like you said, they come from governments who've been oppressing them their entire lives for generations. So their natural instinct is to not trust the government or any government agency. So I think you are right. We got to be mindful about that. But yeah, we've always let them participate here in the local business, and we've always let them, voice out whatever we need to voice out. But it's tough. It's tough.
Well, you know what they say, anything worth having is worth fighting for,
Right.
right? And so for those of us who will take part, I consider those who will take part, they're the fighters, right? And the rest, we'll just bring them along. They're the wagon we're pulling behind us. So
Right.
that's okay because they benefit too. And that's all we care about, right? So if only this small group of people were the ones stepping forward and making the charge, right? That would still benefit all the people behind us. And you know what? That's why we're doing it, right? For all the people behind us.
Yeah.
And I think that once other people see the movement and how it's helping the community, they will be willing to be like, okay, well, letting them know that this many people live here will actually help a little.
It increases
Yeah.
money for transportation. It increases school funding. It increases the volume of your voice in Congress, right? Because you have
Yeah.
another representative. It allots so many different areas of government. The things that the government has to give back to us, right? But if we say, there's only a small crowd of us, then they give us a little bit of money. But if we come out in numbers, well, then, they need more money. There's more people taking the bus. Transportation is huge. And, we have a kind of not the best transportation system right now. So I'm all excited about, getting those kind of funds in our community for our schools for transportation. But you asked me, all about the things that Damas does. So let me try to cover some of those, right?
Yeah.
So we get involved
course.
in things like that. Like we did the census in 2020. We were able to come here welcomed by Freddie at the time, and Sal both to say, yeah, you can go out and ask people to register. And we gave away those T-shirts and
The
your
notepads.
and your community, the people, the patrons who come to this store. They are so cool, They were always had a smile on their face. They were always ready to participate, take home their candy or their T-shirt or whatever it was, hats. And it went really well. And we got another representative in government in Delia Ramirez. She became a congresswoman because we gained that extra seat by making sure we got that census number up. So that was a win.
The next one is coming in 5 years, so remember that.
Yeah.
We're already halfway there.
Yeah.
We'll be out there.
It goes by fast.
It does. And then
It's been 5 years since.
yeah. And then we do a literacy program. Like when COVID hit, we had tutoring for kids in grade school. We did tutoring in a pod because, everybody was so afraid of COVID, and that was the correct behavior. COVID was killing people.
COVID affected a lot, especially the kids with education, because they really went behind.
They missed
they missed a lot. I mean, the parents that were parents with kids in school at the time,
hard.
it was hard. It was easy because everything was online, but like they didn't get the same treatment as they would, the same care in the school. And I even saw my kids, my personal kids, go lower on their grades.
Yeah.
And that did affect, I think, nationwide. Honestly, I don't even think just this community.
Yeah, and it was nationwide, and it did. I remember talking to Mr. Salgado over at Lloyd, and he said, "Diana, the kids."
Yeah, we met him, right?
Yeah,
we
you
met
did.
Mr.
You did.
Yep.
It's a great place. I love Lloyd School.
Yeah, we loved it. I like been out there. It was a nice experience.
So he's like, the kids left, and they were learning how to read. They were ready. They were going to go into second grade, and they were learning how to read. And now they came back, and it's like they don't remember anything.
Yeah.
And we got to start all over again. Well, in 2020, when we got shut down, Damas partnered up with the Northwest Center, and we got laptops and printers and learning aids, and we started that summer after school let out officially. We started our pod for math and science for kids, and we put a couple of kids through that. Now we also do a bilingual story time, which is going to be taking place over near Belmont and Central this summer or this spring in April. We'll be over at Al Capitan Snacks, and we'll be doing our bilingual story time with related crafts to the story for children.
Okay.
We like to start as quickly as, as young as possible. So we start with, 3 and 4 year olds, getting them ready to listen, getting them, entertained, right? And understanding that books are pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And important.
Yeah, and to get them to enjoy the learning experience, right? Wow, this is new and different. And we do a little craft with them. It's really important to get kids used to, like, okay, mommy's not right next to you. There's an adult talking to you. Hey, this is something new and different. And so, like, when they actually go to school, they're not freaking out on their first day of school, right?
Right.
Going, where's my mom? And who are all these other kids? And I don't like this. So that they can learn, right? And there's so much benefit to that, because kids who are comfortable already or somewhat comfortable, they're more able to learn. And then as they go on in school, they're a little more receptive to the adult, the teacher in the room. So they're not as likely to get into trouble, to be
Okay.
the class clown or the troublemaker or stuff like that, which gives them the teacher a whole different perception of that child, right? Because the bad kids, we all know what the teachers want to do. Sit in the back, or sit right here next to my desk, or here's a note to take home to your parents, stuff like that. But when you got a good kid, I was a bad kid sometimes.
That's why me and Lalo were in the back all the time. Yeah, me and Lalo actually went to school
You
together.
see?
Yeah, we know each other from elementary. Yeah,
So you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we want our kids to
We
be
were
like,
the main ones.
Hey, I graduated middle school class clown.
oh, what school did you go to in the area?
Middle school was Logandale.
Okay.
For me, it was Bernard Moose Elementary.
Oh, I know. Okay.
Yeah, same for me.
I went to in grade school. I went to Richard Yates.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right down the street from Armitage and Mozart. Yeah.
Wow.
Technically, that was supposed to be the school that I was supposed to be attending.
Oh yeah, because you were on the other side
Yeah.
of Armitage, right?
Yeah, I was on the other side
I
of
just
Armitage.
realized that all these years.
But yeah, I used to walk it every day.
Yeah, why did they do that?
They
You
didn't
know?
want to take
Or maybe
me for
your
some
mom said,
reason.
"Nah, I don't want her to go."
Yeah, for me too.
Well-
When I was in elementary, yeah, where is it? I think Mozart's the one that's by Armitage, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like 3 houses down in Mozart,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
didn't take
yeah,
me, and I
yeah.
went to McAuliffe.
Yeah, I don't know. The districts here are
They're weird.
They're weird.
They're always redrawing.
But then the
things.
kid in the basement, they used to live in the basement. He was
Mhm.
allowed to go to Mozart.
Yeah, I remember.
And I
that.
was in the
They
same
used to
building
go
as
to
him, and they were like,
different
"No, you got to
schools.
go to McAuliffe." Which, I mean, I think McAuliffe was a lot better, honestly.
You know what?
I had fun at
I just
McAuliffe.
realized why I was able to go to Moose, because I used to live right behind on Fairfield. So
Oh.
after I moved from Fairfield, I kept going to the same school, and we just never
Switch the
switched
address.
schools
Oh.
because I lived over here by Francis and Point. What's that school called?
Francis and Lloyd
Point.
Point.
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with that area.
Well, there's another school right there, and I used to live right across the street from it, but I was still going to Moose.
I don't know.
Go figure.
I never understood that either. Yeah, I just mom's like, go to school, go to school.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty cool, the exposure that you're giving to those young children. And yeah, I think it helps a lot. You're right with the transition from having mom or dad right next to them all the time to, having a new person kind of telling them and guiding them along on what they should be doing.
You know what we should do? We should do one of those here at the location, Freddie. We should do one of those like book cases that you see in the streets where you can just donate a book, grab
Little
a book.
libraries.
Yeah, the little library.
Little
yeah.
libraries, yeah.
We should do that.
We
here.
plant those.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could do it here if you like.
Oh,
I mean,
that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
We so part of our literacy program, besides story time and bilingual, so we want to stress that bilingual, that we like to also keep them in touch with the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very traditional stories
Yeah.
in our language.
Yeah.
And then we do plant little libraries, so you can register for a free little library.
That's awesome.
And we'll
Yeah.
stuff it with bilingual and English books, as
The
well
most
as
famous Patapia. You don't remember
Patapia?
that? Patapia. You don't remember that, Diana? No?
I don't.
When I was in bilingual in Moose, they used to give us a book that it was in English and Spanish, and the name of the book was Patapia.
I gotta check that out.
It was a very, like, all the kids had that. That's
I definitely
Yeah,
okay.
I don't remember that.
no.
I used to not pay attention in bilingual class.
Well, remember, I'm way before you guys,
Right.
so that's
So
probably
maybe
why I
it was-
don't know the
yeah.
book.
Hey, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But so we stuff the books in there as well as receive like free activity books from our elected officials. So our aldermen, our alderwoman or alder person, as well as our state representatives, they actually donate activity books on occasion to put in our little libraries for kids, because we want to put not only storybooks but things that will interest them, you know. So every now and then, I know last year we did a scavenger hunt where they could win a gift certificate to Rafi's gift shop, and she has like some really amazing toys and stuff in there for young
Children.
people. Yeah, children and young people. So, you know, if they participated in the scavenger hunt and they found we did pet rocks that had a what is that QR code on the bottom. So then you scan the QR code.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I think my kid showed up with one of those.
Are you
one day.
serious?
Yeah.
And you didn't turn it in, right?
No.
Oh, I got to tell Rita, she'll die.
So one of my
Rita,
kids threw in like, I have a pet rock. I'm like, what is that, man? And it was like a little
Scan
box,
the
right?
code.
I didn't know that. He probably lost it already. This is like,
that's too funny.
yeah.
Oh, I gotta share that at the next
He got the
board
grand
meeting.
prize and nobody
Right.
knew.
Nobody knew.
That's like all of us who buy lottery tickets and never check the ticket, right?
Right. I do remember my
That
kid
was-
coming in with a pet rock. I
Oh
was like,
gosh, that's too
who
funny.
knows?
Yeah. So yeah, we do the little
I'm
libraries
gonna go
too.
check his toy collection later.
Yeah.
You can still collect that. I'm pretty sure Rita will give you a break on that. Yeah, and then so after we do that and the story time, the little libraries, the tutoring, and then for our businesses, you know, well, we always promote business. You hear me talking about Rafi's and Al Capitan. You guys here at Fresh Market are amazing. But we have other supporters in the community as well. Sabaros is a friend. Diana Morato's State Farm, Hangry's, Mama Luna's, Kim Long. There's just lots of friends who, you know, Damas is a small organization, and our slogan is kind of like doing small things with great love. So we're not out to set the world on fire. We're here to uplift our community, support women. Many of the women who actually join Damas, you know, they come to volunteer, but then, you know, just being in the group and receiving support and just friendship.
What, if I may ask,
Sure.
what made you focus on women more than anything?
That's a great question.
Well, you know, when I was working, I worked really hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a lot of at-home time. I mean, for years I worked 7 days a week simply because, you know, I wanted to pay off my house. I had 2 kids that I wanted to give the best of everything to. You know, I just, you know, I had plans, and it caused me to work very hard. I never got to know my neighbors. When I lost my vision, remember I told you I
Yeah.
had that accident, and eventually, you know, my company let me go. And then I was suddenly living on a budget. A budget.
Right.
You know,
What
what's
is
that?
this? Yeah.
So, you know, I was working through that and I'm still trying to figure out who am I now that I'm, you know, disabled. You know, what am I going to do? And I went to school for a while, and I started, you know, because I'm a woman, other women talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even in that school, I saw how fragile our position is, right? Because a woman, she leads the house, right? She's supposed to be the support, right, for the husband, but many homes don't have a husband. I myself was divorced, right? And then you have the children that you have to take care of, the the expenses you have to meet,
Right.
the safety you have to guarantee, right? The supervision that's needed to guide. And so all these things just pile up one on top of another for a woman. And, it's a tough balancing act. I needed help. I figured other women needed help too.
Okay.
Especially living now disabled, not being independent Tuffy Diana who could handle, 3 charging elephants or something. It's me now with my cane going, where am I?
Yeah.
So
Someone help me.
Yeah.
kind of, you know.
So I had
I
to
get
figure.
you.
Yeah, I had to figure it out, and I figured, there's other women out there. I started to meet them, right? Because the first thing, how I really got started is I wanted a block club. I wanted a block club party because I wanted to feel safe on my block, right?
Okay.
That led me to walk 2 more blocks down to Black Hawk Park. I used to swim there as a teen. I loved the park. And I thought, well, now I'm not working anymore. I can actually get to the park, but now I don't feel safe. So, maybe there should be block clubs on the next 2 blocks so at least I can walk safely to the park. Got to the park and found out, hey, there's a park advisory council and they need some help. I guess I'll volunteer to help out. And that's how it all started. I started to find one thing after another that we needed help in, right?
Okay.
And I figured I'm not doing anything. And there's such nice people out there. And, some of us are helping. And the ones who are helping, they could use a little help, right?
Yeah, of course.
And that's really how it was just that simple, If you'll step out of your comfort zone and say, I'll pick up trash, or I'll help register for the census, or I'll take my neighbor to vote. Any little thing, you just help someone. It's called a random act of kindness. It's called being a good neighbor, right? It's called 100 things, but all it is really is just, being kind, being helpful. And that's how it started. That's
That's amazing.
And when it came, and then it kicked off because guess what? We vote, right? We have to elect people.
Of course.
So it went from the block club to the park to, hey, Belmont Cragin doesn't vote. When I first learned about participatory budget, which is an area, that's how we got money into the park through TIF, participatory budget. We got planters on Fullerton Avenue. We got sidewalks fixed. We got different things done because we got the initiative on the ballot, and then we went out and got the votes. And then the real vote came, right? Like, who are you going to vote for mayor? Who are you going to vote for alderman? Who are you going to vote for whoever, right? And this was long before we were an actual organization. We were just a bunch of women. People used to ask me, who are Las Damas de Belmont Cragin? And I would be like, oh, just a bunch of women, And then my daughter says, why don't you just say you're ladies who lunch? You sit down, you have lunch, you talk about what's happening in the neighborhood, and you see if there's something you can do to help fix it. And that's what it was. That's all it was. And so it took us from, one thing led to another till we were knee deep in trying to encourage our community to vote, right? Because the vote, just like the census, if you ask the aldermen or alderwomen, who gets heard, it's going to be the communities
Of course.
that vote. And you know what? My community, Belmont Cragin, isn't any different than Lincoln Park. Why not? Why not?
Right.
Because we're people, just like them. We have families, we have jobs, we have pets. We're just like them, nothing less.
Correct.
And so if the vote is the only thing that's keeping our community from being heard, then let's go out and let's get the vote.
How big is the group of Las Damas? Like, how many members does it consist of?
So we have currently, I want to say anywhere from 23 to 25
That's a
members.
lot.
And so the nice thing about us, and I've always learned that, right? Women are busy. If you think you guys are busy, women are busy, right? And So our rule is this: if you see something we're doing and you care about that, come and join us. Come and do
Okay.
it, and get to meet us and help out. If you want to come back again and do another thing with us, that's great. You're not obligated to show up at so many events. You're not obligated to pay dues. You're not obligated to do anything except when you want to, according to your convenience, your availability. You can go and you can come, and we're always happy to have you.
It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
we like
also
it.
like a calling. If there's anybody in the community, I would, if I may, on your behalf, say,
Yes.
if there's any women in the community that are needing help, you have Diana here that is more than willing to, reach out, and don't be scared, man. I know these things are, sometimes you feel alone. One thing I do want to say and add to that, Diana. I keep saying Diane. I just got used to it.
It's all right.
But one thing I do want to add, and I say this with the utmost respect, I don't want that to be the wrong message, because I know there's a lot of good-hearted men out there that do actually want to help and don't really see. We have us Latinos. We're machistas, and we like to be tough and stuff like that. But there's also a lot more men out there now that are more understanding, and that they also are single fathers out there, and there also is, guys out there that are just as confused or just as lost as the people that you're mentioning. I've always said it, and it's like, we just have to treat each other like human beings, and really stop with that, saying that we don't also suffer, because it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough on both ends, I believe, even especially after divorce, or after, like, when you got to know a person and that person ended up not being who you thought that person was going to be, and it's just devastating, so adding on to that is, like, we need to start seeing for the community as a whole, but if there's any women out there that need help, and I like to say, man, you guys can come here to the local business, and there's just so many people that are willing to help, and it doesn't necessarily mean with money.
Right.
There's so many ways that you can help, and there's just so many people that don't reach out just because they're scared, period. Whether it's a guy or a girl or a kid, or, it's just, we're like you said, we're no different than the people in, Lincoln Park.
That's right.
And I say we because I've been in this industry and in this location for about 8 years. So I know a lot of, customers. I know a lot of people that, I made and I have really close relationships with, and there's people that have passed away, and I got to see them here multiple times a day, and you just, now they're not.
Yeah.
And all that the community, literally, what I'm trying to get to is every person counts in the community, no matter how small you think you are or how inconvenient you think you are. It's like, you still matter. Like, you still, you still make someone's day out here. You never know. You just never know. And treat people with the utmost respect, because I've always, my younger brother Freddie here, I've always told him, don't give someone attitude, because you don't know if that person's mother passed away today.
Yeah.
You don't know if that person got divorced today. You don't know if that person, just lost his family pet of 20 years, whatever. Just exaggerating a little bit there, but but you don't know what people are going through, and then it's like, it's just tough, man. Life is not easy for anyone. I don't think there's anyone in the world that's gonna say my life has been easy. Not even the millionaires or billionaires. Because I'm sure they have their own problems, and their own upbringing. And I just think we just need to treat each other, period, with respect. That's it. But no, I think it's great. I think what you're doing and what what you're capable of doing. It's just like you're someone to look up to, honestly, because you're doing something that nobody is really doing for themselves even.
Yeah, sometimes we get discouraged, right?
You
And
know,
it's hard.
and
to
like you
see
said,
past
we
that.
we all live busy lives, and nobody wants to take the time to, like, you have no reason to take the time for this community. I know you love it, but let's be realistic here, Diana. Like, you if anybody at least in this table right now, if anybody needs time to dedicate on themselves, I believe it's you, because you've earned it, you deserve it, right? And in the whole community, I'm just saying, like, if she can do it, you guys can do it, 100%. You know,
I believe anybody can do it,
Right.
right? I couldn't agree with you more. I respect men, and I am finding, because like you said, men don't always step up and say, hey, this is going on with me. It's hard to get a man to, like,
Open up.
become vulnerable like that. So, but now after these years, Las Damas officially became, a group with a name back in 2020. But we got our 501c3 in 2024. So, we've been operating
right.
since 2018 as just a women's group. But now, I guess as we're getting more known, we do have men who come up and, like, hey, we're going to partner with you. We got some great guys that come back every time to work with us when we do, like, heavy work, And I want to thank you guys again for the help you gave when we stepped outside of our role and just became like neighbors when we helped a family move, when we had a family lose a very important person in their family,
Right.
You guys stepped up to help us help someone. So like you said, anyone can do it. I mean, I'm completely blind and I can't do anything alone. Every member in the group
We need support.
helps me. And if they can help me, then I got to do my part to help someone else, because that's the right thing to do.
Right. And
I have a question. Do you guys have like an office or like somewhere where people do reach out?
So we have our social media,
Okay.
right? We have Instagram where you can do a contact us. We have Facebook, which is a private group. That's how we started. Because when we first started, that Facebook was the first thing we did. And, I was very unsure. I didn't know where we were going with this. I knew that we wanted to help people. We didn't have any money. And I did notice something that everybody in the, people who, nonprofit work,
Okay.
can be competitive, right? It's grant money that everybody's competing for, right?
Okay.
We didn't have any money, so we had nothing to lose. But we knew, everybody needs help. So what we did is we started a Facebook page, and we took all the information we could, right? Remember, this started during COVID, and everybody was hustling to try to help, right? So we took all the nonprofits and we would post their resources on our Facebook page, plus all the things that the churches were doing. We'd post food banks and diaper gives away, mutual aid. Remember mutual aid? We posted the things that the elected officials were doing and giving away,
Okay.
And that was because we didn't have anything to give, but you could come to our page and find anything you needed without finding a story about someone stole a package from my porch, I lost my dog, somebody's peeking through my window. Not that those things aren't important to some people, but, if you need help, right? My house is on fire, I need the fire department. Then you need a place to go that's only going to give you what you need, right? And not all the frills and the bells and the whistles. And that's what our page did. And people utilized it, and it's been a help. And so we continue to do that because for myself, I knew that I was so embedded in my own life that even when I needed help, I didn't have the time to go research. Where do I find help? How can I get some help with this or with I'm having problems with my
you
landlord.
Get so busy that you
You
don't
can't even help
have
yourself.
time. Yeah, you get so busy that you don't even get the time to ask for help.
Yeah. And even
That's crazy.
Even stuff
That's
like
crazy.
that, Diana. Like a lot of people kind of don't realize, like you don't need help with money. Like even information or stuff that can help you out in a day to day is more than enough. I mean, you mentioning right now that you were helping like by posting links and stuff like that that's going around the community. Like that is way more helpful. Like the amount of people that go on Facebook and like this church is doing this. This is really gonna help me. Instead of like you said, oh, there's this neighbor that's peeping over the window. Like I don't care about that.
I think
that's not gonna help me right now.
I think that's why a lot of well, not a lot. I think that's why the what is it called?
Nonprofits?
Nonprofit organizations didn't really want to work with us because we are a for-profit organization, a company. But I think that's where the confusion is, and it's like we're not doing it for greediness. We're not doing it because we want, we're really just reaching out because this is the community that provides at the end of the day, and we just want to give back. So that's literally that's our, I mean, at least for me, 100%, that's the thinking on my head, and that's why I reached out, and that's why I always tell Freddie, let's reach out.
It's great that
it's the least we can do, the way I say it.
Yeah. It's really good. I'm enjoying this time with you all because it's about what can we do, and let's keep going forward. Let's be positive. Like we don't have to create something humongous and momentous and earth-shattering, right? Let's just be doing those small things that make someone else, more secure, help someone else in their life, in their family, right? Because when you change situations for people and you give hope, there's nothing like hope. Like nothing can kill that. I remember I read a poem when I was in like 7th grade. And it was by Emily Dickinson. It was called "Hope is a Thing with Feathers." I recommend you guys read it because it talks about hope, and it compares it to a little tiny bird. Right now, how strong is a little tiny bird? Right, nothing. But it compares that little bird sits in the human heart. Right, when hope is in your heart, you can be up against almost anything. And if you've got hope in your heart, you're going to keep going. I mean, that's what keeps me going.
Not only that, if you have a community that backs you up, even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. So, get that hope out into people. Let them know there's hope out there, you know.
I mean, we're out here. I think certain people know. I think we have our customers that really does know us as a family. And they reach out, and we don't have a problem helping when we can, so, and sometimes it's not even like, sometimes it's just like, oh, I would like to put a flyer, I would like to pass out flyers in here, and they're like, go ahead, man, just do it. We actually have a designated area for them to do that, whereas before the old owners would not allow that. But as soon as we took over, I'm like, no, this is a place where the whole community comes to get their groceries, get their food, get their families' things. The least we can do is put up a place where they can put up their stuff and share whatever they want to share with the community. And that has been going on since. So
forever, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not planning to stop it anytime soon. I know, I've had other business owners that come here that I know, and they're like, that looks ghetto, or that doesn't look good. You should get rid of it. And it's like, you know what, dude, mind your business. Really, that. I mean,
how many times do you go to a business and you're like, who the hell is the owner?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're just lost. And then like, I know here, I mean, even I, like sometimes it doesn't really catch my, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Sometimes I don't even realize like the amount of people that know me. Like I could just be walking and like I say hi to like 10, 15 different people. And I'm like, geez, like I don't even realize, how much people know me. When they do the parade over at the church, is it called parade or what is it called when they do the
fair?
The fair, there you go. When they do the fair over, and I go there, the amount of
Like
people
3
that
blocks
say hi
down
to
from
me,
here.
it's like wow, like people
Yeah.
really do realize who I am. And
It's
like
from St. Genevieve, no? Right
yeah.
in front of St. Genevieve.
yeah, and it's like little stuff like that, that maybe like other owners don't realize. Like you kind of have a lot of power, and you could do a lot of good stuff with, the amount of people that know you, and like there's a lot of people that are taking it, they don't take advantage of that or even realize that.
And again, none of this is for greed. I mean, I think it's just the way I think it's just our upbringing, really. Honestly.
I mean, geez, the amount of times, like even little stuff, like I've gone to other stores, other grocery stores, and you're like, damn, the price is so expensive. And then I come back the next day and I'm like, you know what? Let me put this cheaper for the community. Let me do stuff like
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah, because there's times where we don't even really make the margin we're supposed to make because we just want to keep people afloat, and yeah, we are a for-profit organization, but we try our best. I mean, and then, and it is what it is. I guess we got to let action speaks for themselves,
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that's why we have a certain amount of loyal customers, and we do thank every single customer that walks into this business and has allowed all this to happen. And now even the podcast, so it's like we don't plan to stop. Like when we met you, we told you that we do plan to expand, but it's just it was just a different. There's so many things we can do for the community, and we're more than willing to.
And then it seems like those little things that you guys say that they're little things for you guys, it might be something so big for somebody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you started walking to your neighbors, and now that was a little spark, and now the fire, like that's how you start a big fire, by a little
Yeah.
spark is all it takes.
Yeah.
It just takes one person. And again, my respects to you, Diana, because you having what you were going through, and you still got up and said, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna make this community, and I'm gonna make this and do that. I mean, that's amazing. Really, that speaks volumes of you, honestly.
I mean, think about it. I mean, everybody's going through COVID, and then you were mentioning, or we were talking about how you did not get to the help that you needed because you were
Resources were limited,
Yeah.
basically.
and then to go above and beyond, it says a lot.
So I guess in behalf of the community, thank you.
Yeah.
And I know I don't represent the community. I'm not saying that, but I
A community member.
I think that
Yeah.
we are humans, and I think we see what you're doing, and as a human being, we're saying thank you. And
Yeah.
it takes a
Thank
lot
you.
of effort to do what you do in this community.
We need more Dianas
I-
all over the place.
Right.
I've met some really amazing people, including you guys, and it's not for everybody. Everybody is not. The heart just isn't inclined that way yet, right? Yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And-
just we have a lot of people that are really, more than anything, are just scared. It's not really
Mm-hmm.
they're insecure in the system. Again, they've been
That's
oppressed
it.
by the government in their past, and or they're just scared that immigration is gonna show up one day. Really, we have immigrant parents. We know what that's like. We know what it was like to get humiliated. Unfortunately, and I will say it, Humboldt Park is not that friendly. I don't know about now, but back in the
Growing
day,
up,
it was
there
a
was a
different
lot of
place.
humiliation towards immigrants. My parents
Mm-hmm.
are one of them, and I got to see that, when my mom would go into a grocery store and she didn't have the money, and I'm not gonna say the name, but that company still exists, and I got to see, my mom had to hustle to get a gallon of milk for us, and we've had situations here where I've seen the
and
same.
It's just like, take the gallon.
And
man.
they
It's
just
not
take
gonna
it, bro.
kill us.
Just take it. But they wouldn't do that, because they weren't
That's not us.
our people.
That's not our people. Yeah.
Right. So they don't care, and but I do believe in karma. So maybe God has a plan for us,
I know he does. He has a plan for every single person. Yeah.
So
Yep.
so
My daughter asked me that sometime. She asked me, "Is it true that she said, what if my name is not written in the Lamb's Book of Life?" And
what does that mean? Sorry.
So okay, so in Scripture it says that every person whom is belongs to God, their name is written in a book, right?
Okay. Okay.
And
okay.
it's called the Lamb because Jesus Christ is the Lamb of God. He suffered for our sins, and he made payment for them, so we're free. right? Oh my gosh. Every time I think about freedom, I feel real good. Because I know I'm forgiven, right? And that's big key, big part of, I guess, all of this, right? What we're doing in the community. Some people do it because they're moral, right? They have a moral obligation to be kind to their neighbor. For me, I more consider it like I go back to scripture and I think of the story of the Good Samaritan. Oh man, I got to turn you guys on to this one DVD I have about the Good Samaritan. It's an amazing story. But anyway, okay, so my daughter had asked me, what if her name wasn't written in the book of the Lamb? And it really like, whoa, that's a pretty serious thing. That means, I didn't say this to her, but I was thinking this, And I told her, I said, well, only God knows who is his. And no, we can't look at another person and say, that person's going to hell,
Right.
Because,
Yeah, but there's some people that do that. There's some people that really do that.
But God,
openly.
but scripture tells us, okay, you who judge, what ruler are you using to measure that person up and saying, oh, you fail, you're going to hell? Because God says, I'm going to take that ruler from you and I'm going to put it next to you, your own ruler. And then I'm going to see how you measure against your own ruler,
Right.
I'm going to judge you like you judge other people. Ooh, I don't want that.
Right.
I know I could be a little harsh. Every night I sit down and reflect on my behavior of the day. If not every single night, almost every night, But I told her, God has a plan for every person. And she looked a little astounded. I go, not only every person living today, every person who's lived in the past, and every person who's ever going to be born. That's God. That's how powerful he is. He's Almighty God. So, yes, he has a plan for everyone, right? And we'll see where he takes us.
And if I may, honestly, and I'll say this openly because I really believe in being your true self. So I must confess, I don't really have found my fate, to be honest. Again, like I said, everybody has a different upbringing and everybody has situations in their life where they say your life is not easy. And it's not an excuse. I've had situations in my life where my fate has been questioned, and there's been many more situations in my life where I felt like there has to be a purpose to my existence, but I haven't really found my faith in that sense. So I don't necessarily like to bring up religion.
Okay.
Myself, in my person. I'm not saying here in the podcast. I'm just saying in my person because I never know who really I'm talking to. I only really speak religion to people who are really close to me. But we were raised Catholic, me and Freddie. You too, right, Lalo? Yeah. But I have respect for other religions or whatever beliefs that people have. I just want to keep it and be really honest with you, Diane. I don't think I have found my faith yet. I don't know when it comes to faith where I belong. I don't know if I should even start looking into that. But what I do know, and I've said this in a previous episode, is that I'm not a bad person, and I don't have bad tendencies. I know I don't need a faith to decide whether I'm a good person or not. I know I'm not, and I know the good that I cause and the bad that I cause.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything, before, to all those people who are like me who haven't found their faith, you just gotta be the best person you can be up until that point,
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you
No, I realize just like if there's nothing, if we don't have respect, then where do we even have a common ground, right? How can we even talk if we don't have respect? And so I'm not here to, and I would not assume to tell anyone, I think that I have it right and everybody has to believe this, that's not my place. My place is to follow what I believe, and that is to do good, right? It's not written in scripture, but we all know it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right?
Yep.
My mother drilled that into my head,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Don't
Us too.
treat people like
Yeah.
you don't want to be treated, right?
Yep.
And let's start there,
You
right?
know, yeah.
And you know, if you profess to be, you know, who you say you are, you know, and what you believe, that's hard. It's hard to. I find it hard to live up to what I believe because I always, you know, there's people who irritate the heck. They irritate me really bad, you know, and it's like, and some of them gave me a tough time, you know, getting Damas started, you know, and I was like, why am I being, why, you know, this is a good thing. Why would this person oppose it, you know? And you just can't figure it out and you just got to move on, right?
Yeah.
But,
don't quit.
I got to love everybody, you know? Right? That's the story of the Good Samaritan. That is from, you know, scripture, but it's true. Like,
Yep.
I'll go real brief. May I do that real brief?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because it kind of reinforces this, right?
Right,
We all
right.
claim, you know, if you claim to be something or if you believe you're something, then, you know, how do you prove it? Where's
Right.
your test, right? So the story of the Good Samaritan is this, right? So a man was walking, he was going to Jericho, right? And he was walking the road to Jericho when robbers came upon him. They beat him and robbed him and left him naked and almost dead on the side of the road, right?
You're right.
And this is Old Testament. Wait, Jewish? No. I can't remember if it's Old or New Testament. And I'll put that aside for the moment.
Okay.
Yes. So it has to be New Testament because Jesus asked this question.
I never
Okay.
heard this,
Yeah.
honestly. So
Okay,
I'm
so
interested.
cool. Yeah, this is New Testament. So this whole story gets started because a guy comes up to Jesus and says, what do I have to do? And Jesus said, certain things, commandments, love the Lord your God with all your might. It's a couple of things, right? And he says, I've done all of that. And it's like, wow. Even I said, wow, dude, you did all that. You respected your parents all the time. Because I know, sometimes I gave sassy mouth,
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So then Jesus says, okay, well then love your neighbor as yourself, right? You got to love your neighbor. So the guy said, who's my neighbor? Right? He asked him, who's my neighbor? And so Christ tells him the story of the Good Samaritan. He says, a man was going down to Jericho. When robbers fell upon him, they beat him and took all his clothing and left him for dead. And then down comes the road, comes a rabbi, right? This is a high office, This is a man of God. And a rabbi comes, he sees a man on the road, and he crosses the road because he doesn't want to encounter him. He doesn't want to deal with him.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody lying naked in the road maybe needing, who knows? I don't want to find out anymore. I'm going on the other side and walking the rest of the way, right?
Okay.
Next comes a scribe, another high position, right? Kind of like a lawyer, but he knows the scripture, right? He knows the Old Testament, right?
Okay.
And he knows he's supposed to be doing good, right? He sees he sees the man in the road laying there naked and beaten, and he crosses the road and he walks to the other side, right? Because
Okay.
you don't want to get involved in that. Along comes a Samaritan. Why is it important that we know he's a Samaritan? Because Samaritans were hated by the Jews. They were half-breeds. They were another culture and part Jew. And so because Jews didn't believe in going outside of themselves, they had to stay within their own people. Anybody who married outside of that, they were considered unclean, and they had nothing to do with them.
Okay.
The Samaritan, the most hated person in the region, comes down the road. He sees the man lying in the road, naked and hurt. And he goes over, he walks the rest of the way to him. He assists him, he cleans him up, he puts ointment, and at the time was wine, right? They cleaned wounds with wine, alcohol. He cleans him up. He dresses his wounds. He puts him on his donkey. He takes him down the road to the first inn, and he takes care of him for a couple of days. And when he's ready to get back on the road and continue his travels, he tells the innkeeper, he says, here's, a couple of denarii, here's money to pay for you to keep this man here and take care of him. When I come back this way, I'll pay you anything that, that the money didn't cover. I'll pay the rest,
Okay.
right? So then Jesus asked the guy who said, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus asked him, "Who was the man's neighbor?" Anybody got the answer?
Everybody.
Not everybody was his neighbor. Who was the neighbor?
The Samaritan.
Yes.
The Samaritan.
The Samaritan showed to be the neighbor because even though he didn't let nothing stand in the way, right? That this man is Jewish, that he's laying there maybe dead. He doesn't know if the robbers are going to come by while he's tending to this man and rob him too. He put himself in danger, right?
Yeah.
So
He didn't see a difference, I guess.
right.
It
That's
didn't
it.
matter. What mattered was to get the man healed.
And so that's how I feel about. That's who I want to be. I want to be the good neighbor.
Okay.
I don't want any of the things that we look at and judge. Yeah, I don't want to be that person.
No, that's amazing.
I want to be the neighbor.
Yeah, it's amazing, but it's hard nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely hard to
Especially
do
when
that,
people are
you know?
obnoxious, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I'm the good neighbor, but
I want to be. I don't say I am every time.
Yeah, I definitely. It's how can I say this, man, without sounding? Because I don't want to sound like I'm perfect, right? Because I'm not.
Yeah, no, neither am I.
But
It's a good,
I think we've come with, especially with social media. I think we've all came to, a lot of people are coming with this mentality of mind your business. So and it's the same thing. It's like how many people, there's people that live in a building and they know each other. And then there's people who live in a building for 10 plus years and you don't
they
even know
never
who your neighbor is.
They are, yeah.
So I mean, I think it's a little bit more of kind of like social media, but it's a lot of this mentality of mind your business.
Yeah, I was gonna. What I was gonna say is my upbringing, because
That as well, yeah.
my upbringing, I basically left my home at 15 with my older brother. So life has shown me to be selfish. Up to a certain point in my life, that stopped. But because life was a little tougher for me in the beginning, by my own doing. And this is not like unfortunate events. It was my own doing. I was a rebellious person. I didn't listen to my mother. My mother basically told me, my mother told me, if you're gonna be here, it's gonna be my rules or get your own shit. And I got my own stuff. So that that's just to, it was by my own doing. I've never, anything I've done in my life, I've never blamed it on someone else, right? So, and that's why I'm saying it, like, I don't want to sound like I'm perfect, because I know I'm not, because I've definitely had mistakes in my life, but I am definitely guilty of, like, ignoring help in the beginning years of my life, ignoring, not receiving help, giving help, to be clear. Like, I would see people that needed help, and I would just turn the other way. Even though I really wanted to help, I couldn't find myself in a position where, like, in Spanish it's like me lleno de valor.
You fill yourself with courage.
Yeah, to help others.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that for many years, but I did want to help, but I just wouldn't.
I mean, there's times that you don't necessarily have to do something big.
But it's just like in
help.
like specific situations. I mean,
Yeah.
that
Or-
happened in my life that I
or
wanted
like
to help,
Freddie said,
and I didn't.
Like minding your own business.
Right.
But yeah, there's times that, or at least for me, I struggle a lot too through life, and I don't know, maybe I know that I'm not the only person that went through that. So
Right.
maybe if I see myself in somebody else, like if I see them struggling, I know that they're not gonna say yes, I am struggling, because
Of course. Especially men.
yes,
Yeah.
Especially men.
It's
Men.
gonna hit that machismo. It's
you
gonna
know.
be like, oh, well, I don't want to be the one known for this. But if you've been in that situation, I think that you can do a lot of good just by like, throwing a little hint over there.
It's like what you said earlier to me today. I mean, and just by telling the truth, you can get ahead so much more than lying.
Yeah.
It's like, it's true. And I've always told you that, Freddie. It's like, just be yourself, man. Just be yourself. One day you're going to realize that you have to change, and you're going to change. And that's just how I've been living my life without faith, I guess you can say, without following a church or without following and a being, a creator. However, people accept their faith.
For me, there's this belief that I've heard a long time ago, and I have no idea where I heard it, but it's stuck with me forever. And it's be a superhero if you can be a superhero. So if you can't help, don't help.
Mm-hmm.
If you can help, help. So if you could be a superhero to someone, do that. But if you can't, don't. It's kind of just like, don't force yourself to do something you're not.
Right.
And also, I know you've taught me this forever, and which is like, if you're gonna do something out of the kindness of your heart,
Do it.
make sure it's coming from the kindness of your heart.
Yeah,
Or
don't
do
expect
it.
nothing in return.
Yeah, just do
Don't expect nothing in
Yep.
return.
I like that.
Don't, because that's a lot of family members. A lot, and I speak for my own family. I'm talking crap now, but no, a lot of family
love 'em.
members.
Yeah, they do something
They
expecting
do
something in return.
and then
It's an exchange.
2 weeks later, oh, but I did this for you, so now you gotta help me. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, what you help me for then? Why'd you help me? And in that case, I would have told you no, if
Yeah.
it's gonna be like that, you know. So I've always helped my family, and I've never expected anything back in return. And I mean, Freddie's here; he can correct me. I've never, I don't know. And when it comes to family, my older brother taught me to just help and forget about it.
Yeah, and that can be in any type of way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like there's a lot of like the people trying to get like the views and grow their media, and then they go
Yes.
and they give us somebody that's struggling, like they a homeless person, like
Food,
food,
you know,
and then
on
they're
video.
recording themselves.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the homeless person is probably 90% of the time is gonna take it because they're in need.
There.
Of course.
But I mean, if you want to do the good deed, just go
Just
do
do
the
it.
deed.
Don't-
Yeah.
You don't have to record it. You
Right.
don't have to
Yeah,
show
yeah.
the world what you did.
Yeah, and even like throwing like shit like that, like to me, it's like even if you don't record it, like to me, it's like huge pet peeve. Like you do it and then you don't stop talking about it the whole day. It's
Mhm.
like, dude, you did it because you wanted to show off that you did it. You didn't do it
No,
because you wanted to.
There's
That's
a
a good
reason.
heart check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Check your heart.
There's people that do it and they need to talk about it. Like, for example, you right now, you're voicing, Diana, your what you do in your community. That's different.
Yeah.
But you're not singling out a family that you did it to and that what you did and what happened to them. You know what I mean? Like,
There's a
like you're just
difference.
saying it as a whole. Like, this is what we do for the community.
Yep.
But like, there's many people out there that I like. For me, the people that I help the most without even thinking about it are children and elderly.
Thank you.
Honestly, no. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
Well, they need it.
children and elderly are the most vulnerable of our society, and those are the most like children. They ignore them because they're young. They got a long life ahead of them. The elderly, they're gonna die anyway. So what do we care?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I've heard
right?
it, and I've
Yeah,
heard it from
yeah.
businessmen. I've heard it from and it's just, to me, it's like that's your belief. Cool, man. Nothing I can do for you.
Yeah.
You know, nothing. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm not gonna say it's right or wrong. Maybe he has or she has the experiences that they have or had, and maybe that's the way they're saying it. But it is tough. It is tough to try to do good nowadays without actually, like, even us.
That's I was just gonna say
Yeah.
the hardest part is like checking your own heart. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Your brother taught you right because, you know, I mean, my list of things I've been, you know, been forgiven for, and the many times that I feel that I know God has like plucked me out of precarious situations. There are many. There are more than I can number, but I do sit very often, almost every evening, every night, sit there and just reflect on things I've done or what happened in the day, and you know where I could have done better or what I feel bad about. Like I really don't enjoy being, you know, a terrible person. I don't want to use any other language in that.
Yeah.
You know, but occasionally, you know, my temper will get the best of me and I'll just
That's
lose
normal.
it. You know,
That's
I mean, well, I don't, you know. We're supposed to get angry but not sin, so I don't need to be screaming at anybody,
Right,
you know,
right.
Yeah.
under any circumstances, you know. So if I lose my temper, you know, thank goodness I'll be in my house,
Yeah.
and then you know I'll start just losing my temper, and then I'll sit down and I'm like, yeah, that wasn't great, you know. And if someone was if I took my temper out on someone in my own home, you know, then I definitely I will apologize, and you know I'm grateful that they forgive me. But I go back and I sit down and think, that was wrong, and I don't want to do that again. I don't want, like they say, when a person gets squeezed, what really is in them comes out. When I get squeezed, I don't want lemon juice to come out, right? Yeah. I'd rather have honey come out.
Of course.
And that's who I want to be, And so I check my heart. I think, okay, you did something good. Or even sitting here and being asked to talk with you guys, I had to think about it to say, are you doing this because you want everybody to know who Diana Morales is and who cares? Or are you doing this because somebody's going to pat you on the back or you feel special, because that's not why you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And if you feel like that's going to be a problem, you better be upfront and let people know that you struggle with, pride and selfishness and the same thing that everybody
we're all human
else,
beings is what I was just going to say.
And I am not.
We all make mistakes.
I am definitely not. I'm not able to walk on water.
Right.
I'm not able to cure the sick. I'm not able to do any of those things. I'm not any different than anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing somebody can do, and it's checking yourself. Like if you're, let's say, you're having a horrible day and somebody snaps at you, and you just check yourself, and you're just like, is this the right thing what will be my perfect reaction right now? And then just letting it go, knowing that you're in the worst mood of your life, like nothing can beat that. Instead of like snapping, and then next thing you know, it's 3 days later, and you're still thinking about it, and you're like, geez, I could have done better. Mm-hmm. And then the amount of people that live their whole life without ever checking themselves is also outrageous.
Yeah. I believe it probably.
So I mean, I think that's like you can say like a level of maturity too. Is like how many people are really like checking themselves and really saying like,
that's true.
Am I just being an asshole for no reason?
I would have used that word a couple of times already. Thanks for saying
like,
that.
There's a lot of people.
Will you beep
like
that out?
Yeah, we can, but I mean,
no,
there's
it's honest.
It's not. There's no for our channel. We don't have censorship problems yet because we're not monetizing none of this yet. So we're good.
Okay.
So we're good on all that.
Yeah, but that was an honest word to you.
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself before you sit there and judge other people. You got to.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Abraham Lincoln quote. What is it? Like, don't judge because you would be the same under the same circumstances.
Or
you would be the exact
or we
same
have
person.
the other people that are like, oh, if I was in his situation or her situation, I would do it this, and this way.
But you're not.
But if you haven't been through that situation, you don't know what it is.
Yep.
You know,
it's easy to judge. It's super easy to. It's like it's easy to judge, and it's also easy to give advice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing. You're not in that situation, so you don't know. And then if you were in that situation, you would be under the same circumstances. So
yeah, I've learned a long time ago to do things without expecting things back because it's just not good for your morale. And then if you're the person who also gets very paranoid after you help someone, just don't help, man. Save yourself the trouble, dude, honestly, because it's like, it's just hard, man. Life is hard out here as it is, and for people to take other people's help for granted. And like I was going to say, here in the business, and you've seen it here, where we really, there's times where we do things out of heart for people, but then, the community also abuses. So we have to like,
you have to
limit.
We have to be like, you know what, let's be fair to everybody. Let's, and then, but there's always that one person that wants more.
The bad apple, yeah.
And it's like, it is what it is. It's part of humanity. That's who we are as human beings, and that's not for us to judge. But we're also not gonna be taken advantage of either. We do it from the bottom of our hearts. Like, for example, last year, something that I started from just out of heart is giving balloons to children here in the weekends when they come, and in a couple weeks, we're gonna have our own balloons with our logo and all that, because we did rebrand.
Nice.
I don't know if you're aware that we rebranded the store.
I would know. Yeah.
No, okay. No, but I don't know. You didn't tell her that we rebranded the store.
I don't think I did. Right.
So what's the logo look like? Because I remember Fresh Market and a bunch of fruit, real nice mural
That's what
on
it
the
is.
front of the building,
right? Or no?
Yeah, but no, we didn't have the. We rebranded
the name now
to
is
my
different,
nickname. My family nickname is Yuyo. So now it's Yuyo's Fresh Market.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then it has like a basket with fruit and bread, you know. So we were rebranding this year, the whole ordeal. And and I think that's something that's very important that we, you know, going back to the balloons. I think it's just, and I think I told you once, right? Didn't I text you, like, just seeing the children happy with their balloon is like, that's all I want.
It's worth it, right?
Right. Like, it's like, if there's something that, if you ever have, or if you're ever in a position where you can literally change someone's grin into a smile,
It puts a smile on
Do
the
it.
kid's face, and then that kid
do it, man.
is gonna
Just
have
do
that
it.
memory.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
years
think
to
about
come.
it. Don't think about. I mean, if you're doing it and you want things back from that,
Yeah.
you know, no, you're not. It's
You
a
just
balloon,
want-
man.
Spread the joy, right?
Right, and it's like,
And it's so easy to please kids.
right.
They are so
And-
amused by
yeah.
the smallest things.
And I don't know if you guys continue doing it, but I
Yeah,
know,
we do.
yeah. And it's amazing, man. And I, if I'm from home and I check, you know, we check the cameras, we see the kids going around the store with their balloons, you know, and it's amazing, you know, and that's just us giving back, you know. It's a way of giving back, you know, not to the adults, but you know, the children. They like it. I like to believe that they like it.
I mean, and even for the adults, I mean, we have so much stuff planned too. So, I mean, it's not, you know, we don't want to be no ordinary grocery store.
Right.
You know,
Nice.
it's the same thing. Like, it's, if we can give back, we will.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
you,
you're good.
But and I've told you this for many years already. When you walk into a grocery store as a family, you know, mom, I'm just hypothetically saying, mom, dad, 2 children, right? Just hypothetically. The father's already mad because he has to drive, right?
And
The mom's
pay.
already mad because she has to look for all the nutrition and da-da-da-da, you know, get the cereals, get the milk, get the eggs, da-da-da. The children are running around, so the dad's already upset on top of that because the children are like running around not listening, or they want this, they want that,
Can
they
I
want
have
this.
this?
Yeah. And it's like, it's already a sucky situation to get to a grocery store. And then if we give them bad attitude as, you know, the customer service representatives in the store, it's like, it just makes the whole situation worse. Like, just walking into the store is a blessing. And we're grateful for that. And every other month or months, I always tell my brother that, like, don't forget, man, like, people are already coming to the grocery store mad. Like, you really think that on the weekend the dad wants to be, no, he wants to watch football, he wants to watch soccer. You really think he wants to be here looking at you? You know? No, and it is a sucky situation. Nobody really likes the groceries. You know, that's why there's deliveries now and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but that's more expensive. But anyway.
It
But
is.
but you know, we're trying our best to rewire that, you know, in the best way possible. But it is true, man. It sucks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
It is another part of, you know, the what do you call it? The chores that have to be done
Right.
on the weekend, right? And you figure you worked all week real hard, so you want to
Yeah. You
relax.
just want to go home and
No, I gotta go
relax.
shopping.
Yeah.
You guys need to get a laundromat now, so that you can make us happy in both areas that we have to do extra work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe one day. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what's coming.
Well, the store has been welcoming. I've you know, I mean, if I can walk in here, even when I used to come here more often when I had a little bit vision left, and my main like when we did the sidewalk at Black Hawk Park outside of the tennis area, the tennis courts.
Yep.
That's actually, you know, if you're walking down Laverne, you got to go walk right past that to get to Fullerton to come to the grocery store. So I'll make a request right now. I wish they would put a palm button so I could change the lights on Fullerton so I could cross the street.
Fullerton and Laverne.
Yeah.
Yeah, that light is horrible too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It
when
is.
it turns red, the other one turns green immediately.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
told
already
I told
dangerous.
the alderman once, joking around, you should move it to where my store entrance is,
The light.
so
good.
everybody can
I like
stop there
that.
and see the store. You know, but that's just my business mentality. You know,
that's cool.
That's
I
my
respect
that's my
that.
greedy side.
I respect. That's good
Jokingly.
businessman. No, but So when we did participatory budget, that was actually the first thing we did, and my sales pitch was that, look, that's our business corridor. We can't even get to the stores or the restaurants or the laundromat because you got to walk me with a cane over that broken up sidewalk. My neighbor's grandma fell there one year and broke her arm. And if you're coming with a stroller with a child in it, you're not feels like you're going down the Oregon Trail, rocking all over which way.
Jeez.
So we got it fixed. That was back in 2018.
Nice.
Yeah, we got that patch of sidewalk.
Yeah, Chicago has a huge problem with fixing roads, man.
And see, that's all it takes. That's all it takes is saying, you know what.
We're here.
There's a lot of reasons to fix that piece of sidewalk, right? Because it brings business to the business corridor.
Yeah.
It's good for the park, and I'm gonna just say something. I've always when I started getting involved in community work, I had heard, and is this true, that Little Village, that their Main Strip, and I used to live on 27th in Troy when I was a really little kid.
Okay.
Their Main Strip makes more revenue than the Magnificent Mile, downtown Chicago. And it hasn't done it only 1 year. It's done it a couple of years in a row.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know
That's
that.
a huge strip, though.
And it is a huge strip.
It's a
It is
huge
huge,
strip.
and it is a huge strip. But the people there have always felt like it's convenient to shop right there.
Yeah, it is, though.
Yeah,
It
and you
really
can find
is.
everything.
amazing food,
Yeah,
too.
and you can find everything. Yeah, but I got to tell you guys, it's good food.
You said they beat the
but
revenue by how much?
I don't know how much, but let me just say that it's good food. But your little hot grill down there. Oops,
Oh,
I'm
geez.
sorry. What did I knock down?
It was your cane and the water bottle. Don't worry.
The food that you served here today was amazing,
Thank you.
I would rack it up against anybody. I really would.
Thank you.
I would.
I humbly say thank you to you.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth the shortcut.
I
of
humbly accept
not having to cook.
To Diane.
Who cooked? Did you cook, Freddie?
No.
Are you the one?
No.
Oh, okay.
I
Freddie can't cook
personally,
anything.
Under the
Like-
supervision of Freddie.
I said I
I'll
was
be
there
s-
tasting the meat.
That's me. I'm the official taster.
Yeah, right?
no, I personally, and I argue with anybody. It's like I believe that we have really, really good food, and I've seen people who've rated food that is nearby. I'm not gonna say the restaurants,
No.
but they they're really good, and then I tell them you just haven't tried mine yet. And then they throw
That's
shade at
Freddie's
it.
greedy
It's
side,
oh,
see?
you can only be so good because you're in a grocery store. It's like, no, believe
Fresh.
me, we make some
Come
good
in, bro.
food.
Come in, bro.
We make some good food.
Well, let me say this because I'm gonna. This is the only boast that I'm gonna make about myself. Okay, I only brag about one thing that I can do. I can really taste food. Ever since, so I'm not a cook, and all my life I either ordered food or did out of the box or the can or whatever.
TV dinners.
Throw it in the oven. Yeah, microwave. Well, I love food, and when I went blind, it's really true that your senses are heightened. Nothing happens to you physically, like wires and chemicals and stuff like
Right.
that in your brain. Nothing changes. It's just that because you're not using your eyes, you're so tuned in, Ton, to the sense of touch, smell, taste, and sound. So I can hear people whisper pretty far away. I used to have a guy at church who used to tell me, "Can you hear me now, Diana?" And he'd be like 3 rows back, and I said, "I can hear you, Henry. Stop goofing around."
That's
Jeez.
amazing.
So when I say your food is good, my taste buds, which are tuned to high, can taste. I can
thank
taste
you.
your garlic. I can taste how much. If it's too salty, I can taste, comino. I can taste everything. I can almost name what you put your ingredients, because I hit a lot of restaurants around here because I don't cook, and we do have a lot of business friends where we do a lot. We pop in and grab whatever because we're working, but I like to think that every place has their specialty dishes. And so I'll try, let's say, my favorite is flautas, right?
Okay.
Chicken flautas. And I've tried them in several places, and I know who I like the best. I know who has the best tostadas, who has the best chicken soup. I just added your pastor That was amazing. Rice and beans, like I always say, everybody says, "Oh, rice and beans." It's just rice and beans,
Right, it's
but
not.
not everybody
No,
can
it's
make
not.
it.
Everybody can
Not
make
everybody
rice
can
and
cook
beans.
it. You know, where it's worth eating. You know,
Man, these past holiday weeks, the amount of rice we sell is absurd. It's
That's good.
so crazy, yeah. Yeah, and then when I take it to like whenever I have like family events and I take it to, people are always like, "Freddie, bring the rice," or "Freddie, bring the barbacoa," and it's like
and
people
if-
already
and,
know.
And adding to this, I mean, if you ever need any events that you need catering for, you know we're here for you, Diana.
oh, thank you.
You know,
I
so
appreciate that.
Think about us always.
Yeah,
Well, your
yeah, we got
your
you
rice
guys.
and beans went hands down for sure. And yeah, and I do have places like, so that's my my superpower, right? Is to be able to taste food.
That's,
Oh, that's
amazing.
definitely
That's cool.
that's a great superpower.
Pretty cool.
I like it.
It
Yeah, I
just
get
shows
to
you how
enjoy
much
it.
we take for granted.
Yeah,
man,
for
honestly.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, kind of throwing shade at other restaurants. I mean, you go somewhere and you try their main plate is amazing, and then you try the rice or the beans, and it's kind of like,
For
God
me,
damn,
look,
you guys don't care.
For
It takes a
us,
lot, right?
yeah, for
Away
me
from-
becoming, I guess, part of the business industry, for me becoming or getting to there has tuned up my maturity, if anything. You know, like I'm more respectful, and I'm more grateful for, you know, when even a waitress brings food to me now. You know, because it's like I know what that payroll, you know, and everything, and it makes you just more understanding of events and situations, you know, because when you don't really have like because when you don't really have nothing other than your own expenses and your own things to worry about, you know, and you're not responsible for other people's living,
Yeah.
you take a lot for granted. But then when you get there and you understand what it takes to make that dollar and pay someone that other dollar, you really understand a lot more, man. And you just stop being selfish because you can't anymore. You're at a point in your life where you can't be selfish anymore. And you do have to think about others, and you eventually become the last option. Everybody else goes first. So it humbles you, man.
Wow.
It humbles you. You don't like trust. A lot of people think that business owners are making millions and millions of dollars, and really, I'm not saying there's not those, you know, but a lot of them have to put, you know, let's just say Amazon. You really think that Jeff Bezos is keeping all that money to himself? You know, he's
but how many years did he
imagine
have to
his payroll,
sacrifice?
right? Imagine that man's payroll. You know, like it has to be in the millions per day. You know, and all the and I know he's not perfect. You know, nobody is, but just the impact he's bringing to people's life. You know, and people forget that just because he's
Has money.
driving a really nice car. You know, like, oh, he's too much. Nah, But I promise you that his payroll is much bigger than that car he has on a daily basis.
He also had to put in work.
And he had to put in work in a time where nobody believed in him. So it's all like it's just, you know, it just humbles you, man. It humbles you to, at least in my experience, I don't know about other business, you know, people in the industry. It just gives you a new set of skills, and you gotta figure it out. And you're still on your own. You're still on your own, and you have a whole crew that you have to provide for.
Yeah, it makes things a lot different, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So I mean, think about warehouse jobs. You know, think about, you know, grocery stores that have multiple grocery stores. You know, like think about, you know, just the library, just keeping that library running and operating when people don't even read books anymore like they used to. You know, it has to be tough. You know, even though the government really, the taxpayers pay for that. You know, but still, it's a dedication. It's not just it's not just to be taken for granted. Is what I'm getting to, you know. And I don't know if you want to add something to that, both of you guys. I don't know.
I'm glad
Diana.
I'm not an entrepreneur. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is a lot of responsibility.
No, but not even. I mean, even going back, Diana. I mean, even what you have right now is a lot of responsibility.
Right.
I mean, you to an extent, you have a community on your back.
And it has a great impact.
And it's one of the biggest communities in Chicago. So imagine that.
I love this community, right? And you know what? I spent my working life in a quality department. Much of my working life, not all of it, because I used to work on a machine, a punch press, when I was young. I'm right out of grade school. I took a summer job off the shipping dock of a factory, and I cleaned and packed parts, right?
Okay.
Because I was going to go to high school, and my mother decided it was time for me to buy my own clothes, so I needed a job that summer, and I wasn't old enough to work inside a factory, so I was working on the shipping dock where there's no machinery, right? Packing parts, earning a $1. I remember the first time I got my first check, I didn't know the difference between gross and net. And I think it was like $103 I earned for the week.
Damn.
Yes?
No, I said damn. Sorry.
$103. Yeah, damn, for real. Because I never had that much money in my hand. And I was looking at my check and I asked my mom, so which is mine? It was my first job. Yeah, so it was my first job. And, after that, I was more or less, I worked on a machine, a punch press for a little while, growing up, taking summer jobs. And then I ended up working in quality, right? Mm-hmm. And eventually became an inspector, and then a first piece inspector, and finally a quality engineer, or supplier quality engineer, and then a quality engineer, right? So my mind is always like clicking over, what's the next part? How does this fit in? What are the possibilities? Where's the failure? Where are we going to go wrong? Where can mistakes happen, right?
Right.
And so when I think of Belmont Cragin, right, because now the factory floor, right, or the assembly lines, or
it's the entire community.
It's the entire community, right? And if you can't find that to be an amazing playground to work in as a human being, you must be sleeping.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's so much going on in this community. Like when we were just talking about food, this is where this brought me to, right? Like you can go to a little village, what you gonna get? Mexican food.
Yeah.
Good Mexican food. Yep. You go to Humboldt, what you gonna get? Puerto Rican food. You go to Belmont Cragin, it's all of Latin America, honey. Everything is here, okay? Yep. You can tour Latin America right here in this community.
Yep.
What is it?
I never thought about that.
Peruvian, Ecuadorian, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Chilean,
Honduran,
Salvadorian.
Chinese.
Oh, I'm just talking Latin America. We're not finished yet, right?
You're talking about Asia.
Yeah,
but yeah, them too.
And so I have been. I ate some of your good food already. Anyway, so I talk with Melissa, right? You guys know Melissa.
Yeah.
So, and I've also talked to the CDC. Have you guys heard of the CDC yet? Have they reached out to you?
No.
Okay, it's the Community Development Corporation. And Melissa has started the Hermosa Belmont Cragin Chamber of Commerce, which we truly needed a Chamber of Commerce.
Nice.
But in any case, I've talked to both of those groups like, come on, let's step up. Belmont Cragin, we got every kind of food here. We should have a tour, like a food tour, a restaurant tour of the different types of Latin American food that we have. Because we literally have just about everything here.
I think we should just make it happen.
I think we
should just really make it happen this summer. And I'm all for it, 100%.
What is the process to making something like that happen?
I've never done anything like that.
Off
yeah,
camera.
let's talk that off camera. Yeah.
But
Because it can and it should. You know why? Because we should be the next community. We should be the next Latin community.
We can do a mini one in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
A little mini
Just
one.
to give them a little taste of Belmont Cragin. What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Instead of Taste of Chicago, Taste of Belmont Cragin. Or Taste of Latin America and Belmont Cragin.
I hate how you say Belmont Cragin. You say Cragin.
Cragin.
That's okay. I won't say. I've heard it all. You say Belmont and Cragin, and it's only Belmont Cragin.
Oh,
Belmont and Cragin.
Snap.
because Belmont Cragin. Never mind. I had to check myself.
But you know,
Heart check.
I love you guys.
I never.
I'm not
realized
being
that.
mom. I'm not being
Belmont
mom.
Cragin.
Lalo, help me
Belmont
out.
Cragin.
Yeah.
Belmont Cragin. Wow.
Do you live in Belmont, Cragin?
No.
I
Right
personally
now
don't.
live in Albany Park.
Albany Park.
Yeah. But,
Have you been to some of the restaurants around here?
yes. I've always been working the area, and
Oh, okay.
and yeah, I love it around here. You're right when you're saying that all the foods are here. Yeah, that's no lie.
That's not. Yeah.
We can tell, bro. You're getting chunky. No, just kidding.
You look
He's
fine.
not. No, he's not. He's
Thank
not.
you, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I would love to see you guys pull that off. I really would. I will support in any way at all. But you know, it's planning for sure to make it happen. And you know, just let us pop one more time. You
I
know.
have another question for you, Diana,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
What is your proudest achievement in your life? Sum up your life. What is your proudest achievement?
I don't think I got there yet.
Really?
Honestly, I don't think I got there yet. Yeah, I mean, I love the community. I'm really challenged by being blind because I want to do so much more, but it's difficult. You know, I'm just not I was telling Esther earlier today. You know, if I wasn't blind, I would be knocking out so much stuff just because there's so much to do and it's all exciting, right? And it all would have a positive impact. We have people here in this community who can make a positive impact, and I don't know why they hesitate. You know, I don't know why they don't step aside.
It's because life consumes you. Just your everyday life. I mean, you said it yourself earlier.
Yeah,
You know,
but-
when you were working, you were just consumed by life.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask the same question. Like, do you think that you would be doing
We don't
what
have
you're
enough
doing
time
if
in
you
the day.
if you didn't lose your sight? Because it sounds like you were really focused and working really hard.
Oh, I was enjoying I'm not even going to lie. You know, I mean, and it goes back to something that Sal said, you know, God has a plan for our life. I loved my life. It was meaningless. I'll tell you that. It didn't have like a lot. It was all about Diana, you know. I had a good job. I was spending money like I wanted, you know, not that I was incredibly wealthy or even well off. I was comfortable somewhat, you know.
You were secure. That's
Yeah,
all
I was
that matters.
secure. Yeah, and you know, I took care of what I had to take care of, and sometimes I spent money frivolously, which I regret. But I wasn't doing anything for others. Maybe the people who worked under me, because I do remember, you know, there are some things that, yeah, in my working life, I was proud of the job I did, but sometimes I guess it was like a sneak peek, a preview of what would happen later, because I can remember I was working in a company in Elk Grove Village that I had been at for some time, and they had temporary workers there, and they were all Latino, right? And the company actually would put a person from the temp agency, one of their staffers, would be in our facility and making sure that, you know, everybody was staying out of trouble. Excuse me. All their temps were staying out of trouble. So, you know, they were getting back to their workstation on time. You know, they weren't missing work excessively, sort of, you know, just making sure they obeyed the company rules.
Right.
And if there were any complaints, we could always go to that staffer from the temp agency and say, hey, this person that you is one of your temps, you know, there's a problem here or there.
Okay.
So one day, I was going back to my office and walking through the assembly room floor, and this woman was crying, right? And so I went up to her, the lead on that assembly line, and I said, Johnny, what's going on? Why is she crying? And he said, oh, you know, the temp agency said that she didn't have a time card. They can't find her time card. She didn't turn in. She wasn't working last week. And I said, what? I said, did she work? And he said, yeah, she worked every day, Diana. And I said, so why weren't they going to pay her? And he said, because that staffer says that she doesn't have a time card for her, and so she's not getting paid. And the woman was crying, right? It was Friday. Everybody's getting their paychecks. And I said, did she sign the PIR? Did she check her parts that she was making and sign the PIR? The PIR is a product inspection record. The person has to, it's a paper I put out to say, did you check your parts and do your parts, do they have the date stamp? Are they
Quality check.
Yeah. They're just checking off yes or no that these parts look good, and then they sign their name, the date, and the time. I
Right.
said, did she sign the PIR all week? And he says, yeah, Diana, she always signs the PIR. I said, can you pull those from our records? Ask Ida to help you get those files out. And he showed them to me, and yep, she signed them every day. I said, let's make copies of those and call the staffer in here. And I told the staffer, this woman signed the PIR every day. She was here all week long, full shift. Pay her, or we're going to go to the HR. And they paid her. And then, prior to that, to that incident, when all of the employees, like the temps, would look at me like, there's Diana, she's going to tell us if we did this right or wrong. And so, I used to say, you don't have to like me, you just got to work with me, right?
Right, of course.
But after that, they realized, and this is how I get our community, right? We're not the kind of people who just give you carte blanche. Here, I trust you with everything,
Right, of course.
You got to prove to us that you're the real deal, that you're genuine, right? And so when those employees those people saw that I was on the level with them, that I was sincere, you did a good job, I'm going to back you up. And so I was very happy with the fact that they paid her, and they knew that they couldn't do something like that to any of the people who worked under me, and that the temps that worked under me knew that I would
Back
be
'em up.
their champion. I wouldn't let somebody do them dirty.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that I am proud of.
That's
And
really
it kind of transitioned all of the things that happened to me in life. I guess eventually that was a preview of what I would be doing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, without that experience, I don't think you would be able to, the way you work right now. That you said that you look at all possibilities when you're trying new stuff for the community and stuff.
And that's something
it
similar
helps.
that I gotta add to what I said earlier, where when you are in part of this industry, you really, really, it humbles you to the point where you really gotta put yourself last, because I also have to do that to staff, and I also have to put them first before I put myself and my family first, and there's at times that it sucks. But there's times where I do know that I'm doing
What's right.
what's right.
Yeah.
And I've personally never done someone wrong.
That's good.
I've personally never had somebody work under me or for me and done them dirty. And I say that with pride because I know I'm that type of person. But there's other people who had maybe a misunderstanding. I had misunderstandings with, contractors where we agreed on a price and then they try to change it or whatever. And those people or those contractors, it's like, dude, that's separate from, no, that's just separate. But what I mean, work under me, because I also used to work for O'Hare for many years. And a lot of people like you have a similar story. A lot of people didn't like me. But
Yeah.
they knew that if they needed something done, I was the person to go to. Just because I have that
Integrity.
I get serious, and I could just focus on what needs to be resolved, and I think that's just, again, adding to it. It's just it just tells you who you are as you get older. It's something that has. I don't know. I feel like I was more like macho man in my 20s than now in my 30s. I'm more calm, or even you be like, why do you take stuff from people sometimes? Or before I wouldn't, And it's like, it's just part of fucking, I'm sorry. It's part of
okay.
just freaking, growing up and just understanding that people are people and that's it. There's not more to it. You just, either you're going to help, do it out of heart, or you're just not going to give it the attention it needs. Or, I don't know.
Yeah. Going, I understand that. I identify with that. It's all going to be from the heart for real. Otherwise, it's it just sometimes it can
It's
get
hard.
it can be a
It's
mess
hard,
if you
yeah.
try to get something back, or you won't put that front up too long, right? People will see you.
Yeah,
People will
yeah.
see you and they'll know you're not
And
real.
there's a lot of people in the business field that are like that, where like they'll put a face to you or a smile to you, but then they turn around and do completely the opposite that they said they were gonna do, you know. And it's as if when we met you, we would have thought, yeah, we love to help, and then we don't help. We've never helped, you know. Like there's a lot of people like that out here. They don't
Oh, yeah.
understand. They don't understand what it is to actually help. Or we have the other people who all it is money. And it's only money. If you're not talking money to them, then don't waste their time. Really?
Yeah.
Literally.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
there is. So we have a little bit of everything in the industry, you know? So I don't know. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Oh no, I think you hit the nail on the coffin. I mean, it's true. The amount of times people, they just I guess you could just call them snakes at that point, but I mean, they just want to
ulterior,
Temptation.
ulterior motives.
yeah, they just
Yeah.
want to sell you, the picture, and then just do the complete opposite.
Like we never, I think we've never, yeah, of course, we are a business. Of course, we do marketing. Of course, we advertise. Of course, we, do a lot of things. But when we truly help you, if we have ever helped you in the community, if we've ever been, or even as a staff member, like we've done that out of heart. We've never done that because, we want you to spread the word for us, like we just done that out of heart, It's just who our mother raised us to be, or my mother and my father, because my father did most of the racing, honestly. My mother did more of the lecturing, but my father was my father was the cook, the cleaning, and we used to help him, so that's why I also side with men more, because I saw my own father doing it, and now that I'm older too, it's like if he did it, I can do it, no issue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just your values do come from home a lot of the times, and the situations you've been in.
I wanted to, you just reminded me there's, because we deal with all the little ones, right? Well, we don't only deal with small children, but, that's when they learn, right? You ever hear the American phrase? I never got it at first. I heard it lots of times. Actually had to think about it before I understood it, because it's a play on words. But you ever hear little pictures have big ears?
No.
Never heard that.
So a little picture is, the picture they're talking about is the jug that you pour something,
yeah.
and then you pour from it, right?
Like tea or water.
Yeah, okay. So little pictures, the picture is the child, because we're all pouring into them, right? Right? We're all pouring into them. But have big ears, right? So the jug has a handle,
Right.
and the kids have ears, right? They have big ears, the little pitcher, right? So they hear us.
Yeah.
They hear us.
Yeah.
And you better believe they're watching. Children from infancy, birth, until about 5 years old. They're just like a sponge. They soak up everything. They're hearing and seeing and interpreting, Talk to a kid sometime, and they'll surprise you with their logic. Their logic is so simple,
And innocent.
Yeah, it's like, I saw this. This is what that picture means, right? This photograph or whatever it might be, Okay, I'll tell you what. My mother one time told my son, he was doing something, and she says, I'm going to put my foot where the sun don't shine. Okay? And my son said, "You can put your foot in the closet?" But what she meant was, I'm going to put my foot up your butt if you don't get in line, But he said, "You can put it in the closet, Grandma?" And I just
Something
laughed.
like that.
I just laughed, because it's not what she meant, but that's what he understood,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I've had
So
similar.
remember, kids are always watching us, right?
Yeah.
And as adults, like, we really need to put a good example. We
And
need
it's
to
not
pay.
just work.
Yeah, it's not just work.
It's not just work.
It's how you treat each other at home. It's how
It actually has nothing to do with work, because you don't take your kids to work. It literally has nothing to do with your work.
That's the absolute last thing that a kid
cares about when
No,
it comes to their parents.
That they learn. That's the last thing that they learn is about, work. That's when they're already 18, 19. They already soaked up everything that they went through. So that's the last thing that they learn.
So I wanted to make, and I was thinking about it this year, making T-shirts, because in June we do Dia de los Niños, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Freddie, you know what Damas does, right? We
Yep.
don't give candy away.
Nope.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
our kids, the diabetes issue, right? We have the high diabetes rate in Belmont.
In
Cragin.
Belmont, Cragin.
So what we do
Crazy.
is we buy. I heard you. We buy little toys, like that they would get in a birthday party bag.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
buy
yeah.
those kind of things. They love it.
We call them aguinaldos
Okay.
in Spanish.
And so that's what we give them, and they have a good time. They love it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to get some T-shirts. I thought I'd get T-shirts this year that say, set a good example for me, I'm learning, set an example. Something,
Yeah.
I got to find the words
Yeah,
for it,
yeah.
but something to remind parents when they look at the kid, or adults when they look at the kid, they see the T-shirt because
mindful.
they need to be reminded, right? The adults need to be reminded.
Yep.
Watch how you talk. Watch how you treat each other in front of your children. Watch what you do.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're living in some difficult times, especially. Look, me, I was a parent at a very young age. I don't know if you recall, Lalo.
Yeah.
I was 17 when I had my daughter, man, and it was not a good ride. It was bad, but since I was little, I just got my shit together. I stopped hanging out. I just stopped seeing all my friends, and I had fucking 2-3 jobs. And I was always hustling, and I always had a goal in mind. But most of my upbringing came through my parents, but I didn't really value it until I was out there on my own, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because like now I know when my mom used to tell me, when like one day you're gonna remember that this toilet paper costs money, and you're gonna wish you were home where it's free, because I'm getting it for you. You're not paying for it, so it's like there's so many things that when you grow up, you just don't see it. And now, I mean, if I'm gonna do it again, I wouldn't do it any other way. It has to be the same exact way, because that same exact way brought me to be the man I am today. It is what it is. It happened. I'm not, and like I said, we're not perfect. And I don't need to hide from that, because it made me the person I am today. It really did.
Yeah. Part of the process.
It's just not.
I think that, like, instinctively, I believe that every one of us at this table, and even beyond this table, right? If we have children, I know I would die for my children. I would do anything to protect them, right?
Right.
And I think everybody would. And that, that's a reasonable thought,
some. Because there
that's
is some
reasonable,
that-
yeah. And but we wouldn't hesitate. We would not hesitate.
Majority. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't even want to tell that story. I'm going to skip. I just had a thought, and I'm like, yeah, we're not going to share that. Don't share that. But, yeah, so I put my life on the line for my kids, actually,
course.
to protect them. And, but, when we go through our day-to-day life, right, we're not seeing the danger, right? We're going through life, and we're not seeing the danger of, when parents at home, fight in front of their kids, right? We don't see the danger because nobody's being immediately threatened.
No.
But what we're doing is we're showing our kids, that
it's okay.
That's okay. This is normal, but it's not.
Not
It's
only
not.
that, the also to add a little bit, that's what I was trying to get to, is like the materials. Like, a lot of children are growing up thinking that having designer shoes, designer wear is more important than having values, and that is really
bad.
sickening. Honestly, it's like I've always told, like, there's one thing I always tell my kids, and I mean, I guess you guys can take it as an advice for the younger generations that are barely becoming parents at a young age. Is I've always told my kids that I love to work, no matter what it is. I love to work. And it's graduated to the point where, like, they don't ever question me when I'm outside the house working, because they know that I love to do it. And it's like, for example, if there's like a soccer game to go to or something, and I cancel on them because of work, they don't take that personal because they know that that's what I love doing. Just like they love doing soccer. That's them, not me. It's like, 'cause one day we're going to break paths. I'm always going to be there for you. But one day you're going to do your own activities, your own recreational stuff. And guess what daddy's going to be doing? Working still. You know, so it's like, it's just the upbringing, really. It's like I don't buy them designer stuff. I don't buy them none of that stuff. I really make them earn their stuff. And even when they do it, I always give them another option just because, like you said, it's not right. It's just not. Like, for example, like shoes, when it comes to my youngest, well, not my youngest, my second youngest, like I always show him like the Spider-Man ones or the other ones that light up. Mm-hmm. I don't go to like Nike. I don't go to like, the brand stuff because he's still a kid. And I'm like, dude, if you really like those shoes, get those shoes, man. They're cool. And I tell them that, like, they're freaking cool. I wish I could wear those to work. And then they're like, would you really wear them to work? I'm like, yeah, I would. If they made them in my size. I'm like, they're cool, man. You can see at night. Just, and it's like we need to stop. We're kind of like the generation now is stopping kids from being kids. And now they're worried about, oh, what am I going to wear to school? That's always existed. But now, because of social media, it's like really like kids are worrying about stuff they shouldn't even be worried about, man. Like, honestly, like, oh, I don't have a Canada Goose jacket.
Hey.
Like, it's just a jacket. And that's all it is, man.
When I was, so I'm so glad that I'm older, because when I was a kid, all that mattered was that your clothes were like decent, right? Clean, and that you didn't stink, right? That you actually took a shower and you were clean. And that's all it was. Like, we didn't back in my day, there was no designers, right? The first designers I ever heard of was Gloria Vanderbilt jeans, and that was I was already in my 20s, so there was no need of that. As long as you were clean. And I kind of wish it would go back to that, because when my kids were struggling, they went to school in Lincoln Park, and everybody in that school, I mean, I was thankful because it was very diverse. Kids from Cabrini Green, as well as kids who lived in Lincoln Park, went there. Went to Abraham Lincoln Elementary. And so they saw both ends of the spectrum, the very poor and the very affluent, right? And they found their way,
Right.
That it was okay not to have everything, but it was nice to have something, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we were. We didn't have everything, but we had something, and you were never really without what you needed, because I worked hard to make sure they had what they needed. And now kids, everybody has to have the newest phone, the newest earpods and clothes and shoes. It's just like,
I don't fall into
Stop
none
that.
of that. I honestly ignore all that for my kids. I don't even let it get to me. I just tell them no, flat out. No. No.
yeah.
Anything else? No. Okay. Nothing else to talk about.
Yeah,
It's
that'll
just
save them some trouble.
Yeah,
Sure.
because it's like you gotta understand that if you don't have it, then don't. You don't, like, if you don't have the means for it, then don't.
Or if
Just
they really
simple as
don't
that.
need it. I mean, if they don't
Right.
need it, they don't need it. I mean,
I think it's just like more pressure from the rest of the kids.
But it really
Like,
is because of the parents. Because
they've
I've also
normalized it so
Yeah.
much that you're stressing your kid about going to school and
Even-
not wearing regular clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, but it really comes to like the parents, because I know I struggle with this. Like I also fell into in the early years where like, oh, I didn't have this, or I didn't have toys, because my mom would never buy me the toy I wanted. She would always buy me thrift store toys, and it was like a big bag of whatever was mixed in there, and I never, like, if I wanted a certain specific toy, it was, no, it's too much, and I share these stories with my kids, and I'm like, dude, if I had a bag with Barbies, I would have to color them and change, to make them look like WWE wrestlers, like we had to figure it out, which way it was, or I would just imagine that they were wrestlers and they were Barbies, dude. Like, like, it's just, it's just
You know what? It was better.
Right.
I remember, so when I was a kid, they had these they were called wishnicks. They were like little trolls with long, different colored hair. They still have them around, right? But we used to call them, for whatever reason, my older brother told me they were Tobies. So
I
we used
remember
to,
them, yeah.
We used to call them, okay, so oops, sorry. We used to, because they came to you without clothes, right? So we used
I
to,
remember. Yeah.
we used to use clay to make them clothes. Then we just
wow.
smear
That's
clay
creative.
all over them, you know,
That's
and then
actually
press
really
it in
creative.
place, and like there, now he's dressed.
That's amazing.
But kids. I mean,
Kids
you
get
had
creative,
Yeah,
man.
you had use your imagination. Now
gotta let 'em
Now
start
the
being
toy
creative.
they have to do something, or it's not a good toy. You know,
Yeah.
has to.
No, it's
sing
not
and
even that.
dance.
It's like you buy a toy and then you gotta buy the clothes, on
Accessories.
the accessories. It's
No,
like what?
it's really like I said, man. It comes down to the parents, because I was in the situation too where like my mom wouldn't buy me anything, and then I fell into it where like I was at Target, for example, and if like there was a point in time where I couldn't afford toys for my kids as well, so I went through it the same way. And then when I started doing better in life, if my kid pointed out at 3-4 toys, I would buy it for him, and I actually made him like on a demand, you know, it took me a while to take that away from him,
Yeah.
because it was like, no, dude, you're not gonna always get what you want. You know, like I get it because I felt bad, but obviously you're talking to a kid. He doesn't know. He probably already forgot what you told him. He's just interested in the toy. So it really becomes to like, if you have the means to get toys for the kids, but they don't actually need them, don't do it, man. You're saving yourself a lot of more trouble, because later on, that child is going to be a man or a woman. And you don't need them. You know, like we say nowadays, like, you don't need a Karen out there, you know? You know, it's just, but those are the Karens of nowadays, you know, that they always got what they wanted. And it just made them like that. And I think it was like 23 or 24 when I started being more conscious of like, what am I doing to my children, you know, by buying them whatever they want? What am I doing? How am I affecting their life? What if I pass away and nobody can give them this anymore, you know? Like, I started thinking like that a lot. And now, I let them ride the clothes until they don't fit, you know, share the clothes, pass them down. Because that's how I was raised, you know? And look at me, I'm perfectly fine. I mean, it's not, I'm here.
They'll have better values for
Right,
sure. They'll
you know.
have appreciation.
Yep.
You know, we always pass down as brothers the clothes. You know, my older brother was the only one that got new clothes, really. Then it was me. Then we have another one, and then it was him.
I used to sew my brother. I used to sew my brother's pants to fit me, and he'd get so mad at me.
And then when we were shopping for my older brother's clothes, I remember being like, "Bro, get this one. I like this one because I'm gonna wear it next year, dude." And he's like, "No, I like this one." I'm like, "Come on, let me choose one at least." But you're not gonna wear it this year, okay? But I'm gonna wear it next year.
Eventually.
That's
And
pretty
it's
funny.
amazing, man. It's just you gotta be grateful, and humble is the best way to be, man. Don't just humble yourself before you try to humble your kids. That's all I can say.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like if you have the means to an end, and you're really doing, like, a lot of people are gonna listen to this, and they're gonna go and shop for the kids and get whatever they want, you know, and they're gonna keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing
Until
it
they have a monster on their hands
until they
demanding
have-
everything.
Yeah, until that happens, and then they're gonna remember this, like, oh crap, I'm the one who did it to them, you know. But no, I've been fortunate to realize that at a young age, and I stopped it when I stopped myself from doing it more, honestly, and now I just focus on the basics. That's my focus, the basics and the values that I'm teaching them. That's my legacy that I want for my children is the values that I taught them.
You know, we equate love with objects, right?
Yeah.
I love my kids, so I give them everything they ask for. I love my kids, so I let them have, you know, whatever they want, whether it's good for them or not, you know, like candy and soda and, you know, too much fast food. Anything in excess is, you know, not good.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did the same thing. You know, I worked very hard, and yes, I wanted my kids to fit in the school they went to. You know, and I did my best. But at the same time, you know, I had to deal with the effects after, like when they wanted something that I couldn't buy. You know, and then so much they were very good about saying, okay, then I can't have it. But, you know, they walked away and they were like, okay, I can't have that. But I was feeling like I got to work even harder because so
Again,
it's a bad road to go down. You know, you need to be able to say
the
no to
discipline
your
is in the
kids.
parent,
Yeah.
not the child. The child doesn't know. The child is asking. Or the grown up. I mean, if that's how you raised the grown ups, that's how they're gonna think. But it comes down to that, Diana. Like you just have to. You gotta have the discipline to stop yourself. Because if you don't, it's only going to get worse from there. And it really matters, man. It really does.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
It's the best advice that anybody could have given me in the time is don't buy them everything. Buy them the basic needs. And that should be more than enough. Because at the end of the day, I also like to say this. I've said this to you before, Freddie. It's like, love yourself more before you love anybody else. And that includes your children. I know that a lot of people here are going to say, oh, no, you got to love your kids more. I say the opposite. You got to love yourself more than you love your children. Because at the end of the day, those children are going to make their own life. It's just a way of life. They're gonna break paths with you. And you need to prepare them for what's coming to them when you're not around. Because you're not going to be around their whole life. That's just the truth. That's just the reality. And you as a person, as an adult, also deserve time to yourself, to love yourself and respect yourself. It's tough to do that when your children are babies. But as they get older, you start seeing their flaws and you start correcting their flaws and you start implementing discipline. And I've always said this to my mother. I don't hate anything you did. I thank you for that. Because that made me the man I am today. Whether it was wrong or not, that's not for me to judge. That's for somebody else to judge you on. That's not me. But thank you. Thank you for doing what you did for us. The best you could. You did the best you could. And I'm sure your kids feel the same way, man. So it's like, you got to love yourself more. As a person, you got to love yourself first. Stop using that excuse that, oh, I didn't have it, or it's because I love my kids more and I'll do anything for them, you know? And it's like, no, do everything for you. Love yourself first. Do everything for you first. The children, you're going to do anything for them anyway. It's true.
Very true. Yeah, it's like what they tell you on the airplane, right? If something goes down and
Don't worry
put the mask on you first, right?
Help
So
yourself
then you can help the others.
Yeah. And that even
if you
applies to your
pass
children.
out, if you pass out, then your kid doesn't get help at all.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. It's like there's a very old saying, you know, feed a kid all your life, feed them fish all your life, something like that.
Oh,
Or teach them how to fish.
yeah.
You know?
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, and you feed him for life.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying here. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, everybody has their own way of raising their children. That I believe in that too. You know, you raise your children, however you raise your children, go ahead. You're in a free country.
It's a good tip to give out, though.
Yeah.
It's good.
But
advice.
just be considerate, man, that these kids are one day gonna be sitting like us in a table as grown adults.
Yep.
And that's scary to me. And I don't want to have my kids be the ones that are just worried about money or worried about, you know, like time and money. Like, no, I don't want that for my children. But I also got to let them
Spread their wings.
and take their own path. And I can't be there. I know I can't be there because my mother wasn't there for me. I'm pretty sure it was heartbreaking for my mother when I left at 15 years old. And I was the type of kid who, I mean, not to get into details, but I would dare my mother. I didn't care. I wouldn't shed a tear. But all that has made me more grateful for my mother. I still talk to her at least once a week, every single day. There was a point in my time where I stopped talking to her for 3 years, because I was so into my ego and oh, my mom did this to me, but no, it was me. And it took me 3 years to realize that. And after that, I apologized to her and I said, from here on out, I'm going to do my best to talk to you at least once a month. And now it's at least once a week ever since.
That's great.
It's like you let your kid realize what they're doing. He'll figure it out eventually, or she will figure it out eventually. You don't really need to be behind them at all times. And that was the best form of love she ever showed me, by letting me go and letting me find my own way. And that's true. That's true 100%. I've always told her that. Thank you for letting me find my own way. And trust me that I fucking tripped and fell and tripped and fell and went down a landslide and fell into a mud pit, and look at me now, and I have her to thank for that, and all the other people that helped me. But my maturity came from her letting me mess up.
Yeah.
From her letting me,
Fall
from
down.
her loving herself more than me. Literally. She said, I'm not dealing with this kid no more. He's a headache. Let him be a headache to somebody else, basically. And I don't blame her. I don't.
You were one of those who had to do it your way, huh?
Yep. But we're all different.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I won't even explain any of my exploits. Oh no. No.
We all have them. We all have flaws.
I do. Yeah. I'll give you a couple highlights. Hey, the 70s were a great time.
All right. One final thing. Do you have anything you want to voice to the community? I'm sure you do. One last thing. You got 5 more minutes left.
Okay. I guess what I really want to say is I just want to leave them with something to think about, right? And I hope that this reaches even one person, because one person, that's always just the start, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell it through a story. I saw a post. There's someone who does videos, and he always shows positive things, right? Mm-hmm. So this group of grade schoolers, they wanted to do something good. So they started a fundraiser, right? Because they decided they wanted to give a $100 bill to whoever they felt needed it, right? So they raised $8,000.
Okay.
And they did it without help. They did it by asking friends, family, and neighbors to donate to them, right? They didn't organize anything like stupendous to do this.
Okay.
And they raised $8,000, and they went through the community, and they gave this money away to people randomly. And it shows the people's results, right? How they react when these little kids give them $100, right? Sometimes the homeless person, sometimes it's a woman going into a grocery store, Mm-hmm. And these people are just so grateful and shocked. And so they talked to the kids about it, and the kids said, why'd you do it? He goes, I wanted to do it, but it made me feel different, and something happened. This little guy said, something happened to me inside that changed my life. He's 8 years old. His life has changed. Come on, give me a break. It was that innocent and that pure and that sweet, right? And he said, it made me feel so good, I wanted to do it again. These kids went out and did it again. And this time they raised $10,000 with other kids in the school, man. Right? But, and they did it again. And they did it because they realized that when they did something kind to someone else, that it made them inside feel good, feel special, feel wonderful, that they liked that feeling, right? And so I want to say that, I want to use that as an example to anybody listening. I don't care what age you are. If you're a kid, welcome aboard, sweetie. I love you. If you're an adult, even more so. Go out and see how it feels to do something good for someone else. I don't care what it is. Go out and do something good. And then you know what? You can look up Las Damas and reach us on Instagram. Come in and tell Freddie and Sal what you did and how it felt. I promise you it's going to make you feel different.
Yeah,
and if your kids come home and say, there's somebody out there who needs help, Mom, I'd like to help them. Or Dad, I'd like to help them. Support that child. that child is special.
Yeah.
And man, I'm gonna
'Cause-
cry.
Because
Yeah,
it's true. Not a lot
go-
of children think about others.
Oh,
Children
they do.
mostly think about them.
But when
Nowadays.
when they do,
Yeah.
when they do, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's true.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
true.
I
be
agree.
innocent like them. You know, step up. It's not hard, and I promise you, you'll feel different.
Awesome.
Thank you, Diana.
You're welcome.
You're the
Okay.
best.
Okay.
Far from it.
Okay.
This was Storytime Conyuyo. This was our first episode in English. Thank you, Diana, for being our first English guest. But thank you all for staying in tune, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Lalo out.